This is the OnePlus 9 Pro, and I've been using this phone for 1 month as my personal phone. With the price inching up to the price of other flagship phones, it's no longer acceptable to grade OnePlus on a curve. I've always felt a special connection to OnePlus from the beginning as the little guy trying to make a cell phone. But now, I don't think that's proper. Coming in at just over $1,000, the OnePlus 9 Pro brings a lot to the table, but some of those things on the table is actually compromises. The price is now officially flagship territory, and it needs to be reviewed compared to other phones in its price class. OnePlus made a huge emphasis on camera this year. They're investing over $100 million into their camera system to supposedly make it the best on mobile, including its partnership with Hasselblad. We'll get to the camera stuff towards the end of the video, but if you want more details on camera, I made a full camera review linked below and up top in the cards. The OnePlus 9 Pro isn't a phone that turns heads. I think over the years, OnePlus made those types of phones before, but this year, the 9 Pro just feels like a run-of-the-mill flagship phone. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's nothing that's going to wow you. Yes, the screen is curved, yes, it's made from metal and glass, and yes, it gets fingerprints. Most flagship phones now are shifting towards the frosted glass, which is kind of more premium, but OnePlus went with the older, glossier choice, which is something we've seen in the past, and that's only with this color right here. Of course, you can grab one of their cases, and you know what? Their cases are really good. I actually recommend these cases. Or if you want to switch it up, you can get a skin from my sponsor Dbrand. You know, Dbrand skins can provide a new look for your phone and provide that much needed grip to the phone's back. Hit the links below to Dbrand your device. OnePlus did retain the notification switch on the side, which is one of my favorite things about a OnePlus device. You know, to me, nothing is more embarrassing than having your phone ring or ding when it's not supposed to. This switch ensures that it does not. I do like the haptics on the phone too. I know that's kind of a weird thing to call out, but it feels tight, if that makes sense. OnePlus has came a long way in this department. The screen is curved as I mentioned, and many people are not a fan of curved screens due to accidental presses. OnePlus removed accidental presses by making the edges less sensitive, but in turn it also removed intentional presses too. You see, when typing or scrolling on the edges, the phone will sometimes reject those presses, which in turn gives you an inconsistent experience when trying to type or scroll. It's something I still deal with even after a full month of using this phone and a few updates that fix various bugs. I do find curved screens not as comfortable to hold, but this is a slight curve like we see on the S21, and I actually don't mind it. I just need the screen sensitivity to be much better. The display is 6.7 inches, it's Quad HD Plus with 120 Hz. Out of the box, it comes shipped at Full HD 120 Hz, but you can obviously change that to QHD. By doing so, you'll lose around an hour of screen on time. I don't think that trade-off is worth it, but people love them pixels, and for those people, you do have an option. When I have Full HD or QHD, I can't tell the difference at all. And of course, since it is 120 Hz, you know the screen is super fast and responsive. And you know, OnePlus has been putting these high refresh screens in their phones, and the competition is now catching up to it. It's just still a joy to use. This is a large phone, but it doesn't feel like a large phone when using it for whatever reason. It just fits comfortably in my hands for landscape or portrait. If I'm gaming or surfing the web, whatever I'm doing, the phone is just comfortable. The OLED panel is brighter than previous OnePlus phones with okay visibility outside. Still behind what Samsung is doing at this point, but it still posed no issues when using it in direct sunlight. So overall, that's a win for me. The screen is customizable, so you can adjust the colors out of the box to fit your liking. You can make it a little bit warm or a little bit cooler if you want. And also, OnePlus has a color mode that is called Comfort Tone. It's like Apple's True Tone, giving you color accurate tones based on your environment. I tend to keep those type of things off, but using on the OnePlus, I didn't hate it and I thought it worked pretty well. I did find the auto brightness to be very unpredictable. I go into direct sunlight and it doesn't adjust sometimes, and other times it gets way too bright in a dark area. You know, this could be fixed with an update, but I've seen this sort of behavior on other OnePlus devices in the past to the point where I turn off automatic brightness. The fingerprint reader is in the display, and that technology has came a long way. It's actually faster than Samsung's, which is already very fast in the first place. Now, this day and age, obviously, we're still wearing masks. Having that physical biometric in your thumb in the screen is just really, really nice to use. Now, I will say in the winter when wearing gloves, it's something that's probably not going to work, but overall, I'm really happy with this. Now, you also can use your face to unlock, and playing around with it, it works pretty good. I just don't know how secure it is compared to a fingerprint. Now, if I had to wrap up this whole thing when it comes to the display, I would say OnePlus's screen, their technology, how it looks, how you interact with it, is all really, really great. Just that one bug towards the edges where it's just less sensitive. I get why it's there, but I feel like it needs to be tuned up just a little bit to become a perfect display, or I guess a perfect experience using the display. The sweet sauce for OnePlus has always been software and optimization, and that has not changed. While working on this review, I've had 4 updates already to fix known and unknown bugs. Now, OnePlus's commitment to get it right is evident, and that alone makes owning a OnePlus worth it for the long haul, if you don't mind they release flagships every 6 months. Although they fix bugs, OnePlus's track record has slipped a bit when it comes to updating Android software. That's something to be watching going towards the future. Now, speaking of the software, it's running Oxygen OS 11. Oxygen OS is by far my favorite iteration of Android. The OS is very fast, it's smooth, and my favorite feature is highly customizable. Now, one feature I love is the ambient display. When the screen is off, it will display information like calendar, appointments, missed notifications, and you can also change the theme. I really do enjoy their gaming mode as well. This is a launcher that has all your games, but it also lets you cater your phone to gaming. It lets you block notifications, free up RAM, supercharge your phone so you get the best out of gaming. And let me tell you, when it comes to gaming on this phone, although the FPSs are capped to 60, gaming is just a smooth experience. And when you make the tweaks in gaming mode, I really find that this is a solid gaming device. It does get a little bit warm after an extended play, but nothing that will cause you to set the phone down because it's way too hot or anything like that, but you do notice it get pretty warm. Now, there are so many things that Oxygen OS brings to the table, but those were a few that I really enjoy. Now, I reviewed this camera already in a separate video. Of course, that's linked down below. And there have been a couple of updates to the camera since I made that video, and a couple of things have addressed my concerns a little bit, but my overall opinion or stance of the camera is exactly the same. I think it's a very good camera, and to me, it's still behind Samsung, Apple, and Pixel. But this is OnePlus's best camera. Now, when looking at specs and flexibility, it is very impressive, but execution at times could be a little lackluster. I do think out of the camera, images can be a bit washed out as the software just does not capture HDR correctly all the time. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The zoom lens quality is also poor compared to the other 2 lenses. I do find the ultra wide to be the highest quality of shot, not just because it's kind of a cool angle and perspective, but the details throughout the shots are captured realistically, and the white balance looks to be exactly how the scene looks. The front-facing camera is very hit or miss, but the shots that are hit, I think they look really good. But in between those really good shots, there are some really bad shots too. I don't think video is really good on the OnePlus 9 Pro at all. They have a lot of different shooting modes like 8K and 4K 120 frames per second, but still the quality is just not there for me. You can smash as many megapixels as you want in resolution as you want, but if the quality isn't there, it really doesn't matter. You just have a larger image that just doesn't look good. It may sound like I'm ragging the camera. I'm really not. It's pretty good. It's just not up there with the big dogs yet. If OnePlus continues to, I don't know if they need to put money into it, but continue to tweak the software and do some enhancements, I really think we can get a solid camera. When you go into manual mode and you can dial in the settings, you can take some really great shots that can rival those big dogs. But I will bet over 90% of people do not take manual shots on their phones. They go to auto mode and snap that shutter. And when you snap that shutter, the result you get back is the quality of camera, not using it in manual mode. But the software needs to get better for me to rely on it as an everyday camera. So as other manufacturers are taking the charger out of the box, OnePlus is keeping the charger in the box, but also pushing the limits of charging. This is a 65-watt power brick. And in my testing, you can go from 0 to 100 in 29 minutes. And also there is a separate wireless charger that it doesn't come with, but I was sent one for review. And in less than 50 minutes, you can go from 0 to 100 as well. As the battery life isn't where I would want to see it, where I found myself at night, I'd say around 10 to 11 p.m., I had to sort of top the phone back off because it was at around 20%, whereas on the S21 Ultra, it was at around 30 to 35%. So the battery life isn't bad, but with these charging speeds, I could easily plug it in for 10-15 minutes and boost my battery back up, which is a huge advantage of having a OnePlus phone. Here's my overall take on this phone. It's a really good phone, but it's boring. OnePlus is laughably great at making really good phones. You know, most phones are really good and they all require a little bit of oomph for them to stand out from the rest of other really good phones. It's just another great phone from OnePlus. And LG sort of ran into this problem too. They made a lot of really good phones in the sea of other really good phones. Then they tried a lot of gimmicks and it never kicked on. Not comparing OnePlus to LG, but OnePlus needs to sort of think about that when they start continuing making these great phones. How are they going to withstand the competition, especially now that their price is pretty much in line with those things? When I picked this phone up over the S21 Ultra, that's around the same price as of recording this or an iPhone 12 Pro. I think OnePlus has stiff competition at this price point, and the 8T is not that old of a phone, which can be found for hundreds of less. You know, minus the camera, the 8T is pretty much the same phone when you're using it day to day. Running apps and games and all those things feel extremely similar. But of course, those are gonna be my thoughts. I wanna know what your thoughts are. Sound off down below. Kevin the Tech Ninja, have a great day. Talk to you guys later.